Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. Today we're taking a look at a rifle scope. That's right, we're taking a look at an entry-level rifle scope. This one is from Bear Creek Arsenal. They sent this to me to take a look at it and share my thoughts and opinions with you guys. So that's what we're going to do today. This is a 3 through 9 by 40 scope with lockable turrets. They offer this in two versions. One with lockable turrets and one without. The lockable turret version, which is this one, costs about $150. The one without is about $130. I just checked the website before I came down here today. Of course, prices change. This is mid-November 2020 if you're watching this video on down the road. But let's get this thing out and take a look at it. I've already cut the label. I have not had it out of the box. So let's see what we've got here. Got our instructions. We've got a cleaning cloth, lens cleaning cloth. We've got a battery. This scope does have an illuminated reticle. Looks like this is a 2032 Queen style battery. You guys have seen those. Those Queen style batteries are used in a lot of different optics just because they're so compact. And this is our mounting rings. These are AR-15 height mounting rings. Comes with a little wrench in there. So this scope comes complete and ready to run. You know, that's one of the reasons I like Bear Creek Arsenal. Some of you guys may know I've reviewed some of their complete upper assemblies in the past, and I've been impressed with the value in those. You get that upper assembly, snap it onto your lower, put a set of sights or an optic on it, and you're ready to run. It comes with everything. And it looks like they've done that with this scope here too. It comes with our rings, come with the battery for the illuminated reticle. I see that it's got some flip up dust covers on the scope. You know, those, I always end up putting a set of dust covers on my scopes, and those can cost you upwards of 20 bucks. So that's pretty nice. This scope is again, it's lockable turrets here. Pull up to unlock, push down to lock. Adjustable objective. Looks like it's marked from 10 yards to infinity. Nice to have that adjustable objective to get your parallax out. Of course, there's the Bear Creek Arsenal logo. Now, they don't build these scopes, they have them built for them. But there's the Bear Creek Arsenal logo on the side, 3 through 9 by 40. AOEG, I'm going to assume that probably stands for Adjustable Objective Etched Glass Reticle. Not 100% if that's what the EG is for or not. Usually the AO is for Adjustable Objective. Made in China. Of course, Bear Creek Arsenal is based in North Carolina. Like I say, they have these made to their spec. So it's a 1-inch tube, nitrogen filled. Has a mil dot reticle. Second focal plane scope. Just a budget entry level scope. But I want to get this on a rifle before I talk more about it. I'm going to put this on my 450 Bushmaster Bear Creek Arsenal upper and see if I can get it zeroed. I've got a Vortex mount, but since this came with these rings, I might give these a shot. I don't know. I haven't had much luck with these types of rings, especially the cheaper ones like this, and we know these aren't expensive rings because they came with a $150 scope. So not much room left there to spend on the rings, but hey, it is a way to get them mounted. Maybe on a lower recoiling rifle, probably hold up just fine. Not sure about it on the 450 Bushmaster. I'm going to go and put this on the rifle, and we'll get back down here to the range and see how it works out. Okay, so let me get you spun up on where I'm at and my thoughts on the scope so far. I came down here to get it roughed in, but the glass is pretty clear for a scope in this price range. I'm pretty impressed with the glass quality. Now, it does get a little blurry around the edges, but for the most part, it's nice and clear. The focus works really well. Got it right into focus. The reticle is nice and crisp. It's got a diopter adjustment here so you can adjust it to your eye. And I did that before I got started. You want to do that on a blank background, like the sky. And got it nice and crisp, looks great. Now the reticle is a little different than the one they show on the website. On the Bear Creek Arsenal website, it shows a mil reticle, but it's got the hash marks. This actually has the dots, so it's a mil dot reticle. Not a big deal, but I did think it was worth noting. You know, I don't know if they've changed that lately and haven't updated the website, or if this is the older version and the one on the website is I don't know, but it is different than what's pictured on the website. The adjustments seem to work really well. I didn't do a test to see, you know, if they're exactly quarter MOA adjustments or not, but they're pretty darn close. I did run through and count the clicks. This scope has a lot of adjustment. I counted 117 clicks of elevation adjustment from top to bottom and 118 clicks of windage adjustment. So a lot of adjustment there. Now I didn't run it through. It's kind of hard on a scope if you try to run through a bunch of adjustment on elevation or a bunch on windage. I like to do it in increments, like I'll go 10 on elevation, 10 on windage, 10 on elevation, 10 on windage. That way it keeps the entire thing moving together. Some scopes, it can be hard on them if you do a whole bunch of adjustment one way, you know, with elevation or with windage. So I do that in increments. It's just an old habit, something I was told a long time ago, and it's just always stuck with me. But I came to, I want to talk about the red and the green reticle. It's got 5 levels of adjustment, and those work great. It's got 5 levels in both red or green, work just fine. But I did want to make it clear that you don't have to use that. If you just prefer a black reticle, you don't have to turn that on at all. And just because it takes a battery, you know, I don't want you thinking if your battery dies, you're not going to have a reticle. You have a black reticle, whether you have this on or not. I probably won't even use the red and the green, and you know, unless I'm in some kind of a really low light situation or something. I just prefer the black reticle. But what I was going to say was I came down here, before I turned the camera on, I was trying to get zeroed, and I'm having some issues. I think it's these rings. Every time I think I'm zeroed, it moves again. It's kind of walking on me, and I think it's these rings not wanting to settle in. When I unboxed the scope, I was a little suspicious about these rings because I knew I was going to be putting this on a 450 Bushmaster. And in fact, I didn't know the scope came with rings. So I had already bought me a mount. I bought me a Vortex cantilever mount. It's got a 2-inch offset. So I had already had a mount when the scope came in. But when I realized that it came with its own rings, I wanted to at least give those a try first. Didn't work out. They are moving around. Probably wouldn't on a 223 or 556 or something, but they're definitely moving around on this 450 Bushmaster, or at least I think that's the problem. I've ran into this before. This is not my first go around with messing with scopes. So I'm going to go up and switch the scope over to this mount, and then I'll come back down here and we'll shoot it some. But I'm going to go get these off here. This is about a $100 mount. That's what I paid for it, was $100. It was a sale. I don't know what the regular going price is, but it should be somewhere around that mark. But I'm going to go put it into this mount, and I'll meet you guys back down here at the range. Alright, so this is actually the next weekend. I put the scope into the Vortex mount and came back out and had the same results. I cannot get this scope to hold zero. I just shot a group 2 groups here at 50 yards. This wind is incredible today. So I'm gonna try to show you this target, but it's gonna blow it out of my hand. But this is 50-yard groups I'm getting. That's a 10-shot group. This is the last group I shot, which was 7 shots. Seems every time I shoot it, the reticle moves. So I just can't zero it. So that's that, I guess. I gave it every chance I could. I've been shooting it. I said this was the following weekend. I've been shooting it of the evenings. I get about an hour of daylight when I get home. Not enough time to do a video, but enough time to get out and shoot a little bit. And I've put about $100 of ammunition through this thing, hoping that I can figure this out. But I've come to the conclusion that it is the scope. I actually have my Redfield Revolution scope. This is the scope that I took off of this upper. I'm going to mount it back on into the same mount. Nothing's going to change but the scope. And I'm going to shoot it again and just make sure that something didn't happen to my upper, my barrel, something. Make sure it's not something else. This should rule everything else out, but it's not looking good for the scope. This Redfield is also a budget scope. It's about a $200 scope, so about $50 more than this one, but it's a much better scope, much more clear glass, and just a better overall built scope. I was shooting 1-inch groups at 100 yards with this same upper with this scope, and I'm shooting about 5-inch groups at 50 yards with this scope. So something's off. I'm going to rule everything else out by sticking this scope back on. So I'm going to do that. Meet you back down here. We'll shoot a group with this scope. If that group is tight as I think it will be, then we know it's the scope that's bad. Gertie's not feeling very well today. She has really good days and really bad days. Today you can just tell she's kind of down in the dumps. You want to go up here with me and swap this scope out? Come on, let's go get on the golf cart. Okay, so I've got the Bear Creek Arsenal scope removed. I put the Redfield Revolution scope back on. Same mount, same torque setting on the screws. Everything's the same. I did a real quick rough zero. I'll show you that when we go down range. And I think I'm zeroed at 50 yards. It's really windy today. That's one reason I'm only shooting here at 50 yards. But we should tell right away if it was the scope or not. There's one bullseye. Two. You guys have seen me shoot this upper into an inch at 100 yards before. So no, it's not the upper. There we go. So those results speak for themselves. I don't know what else to say. Let's go down here and I'll show you the target. This wind is insane. All right, let me show you guys what I did here. This is the one I just shot for you guys. This is when I first put the Redfield on. I patched up the holes that were already in the target. I put the Redfield on and shot this group. 3 shots right there. So I already knew. I knew instantly there was a problem with that Bear Creek Arsenal scope. I made some adjustments, put the next shot in the bullseye. So then I turned the cameras on and shot this group for you guys. So that's 3 shots right beside the bullseye. That's, you know, that's what it should look like. This is what I've been fighting with all week. A bad scope, man, it'll have you chasing your tail. It'll give you a headache. Look at this. Well, oh man, I'm sorry guys. This wind is incredible. These are 50-yard groups with that scope. I shot 100 rounds of ammunition trying to rule out everything I possibly could, and finally it just came down to the fact that that scope could not handle the recoil of the 450 Bushmaster. I hate this, guys. I hate it that this wouldn't work out for us. I love it when a low-priced entry-level product works really well. I love that. It allows people to get into the game that ordinarily wouldn't be able to afford to. I've been there. I love that kind of stuff. Not a gun snob at all, but this one just, it would not hold up to that 450 recoil. Maybe this would work out on a 223 or a 556. Try to keep my camera from blowing off the table here. This wind is ferocious. But it would not hold up to the recoil of the 450 Bushmaster, so that a little bit of a torture test for a cheap scope, if it'll hold up to heavier recoil, which the 450 is not as bad as you might think. The Redfield holds up to it quite well. I had it on there for, man, I've had it on there for over a year. I've switched out optics back and forth on this gun, but this one has seen a lot of rounds through the 450, and it holds up fine. But this one would not. Had a lot of cool features on it. It's a shame it wouldn't work out. I cannot recommend this scope. That's the way it goes sometimes. That's why it's called a review and not an infomercial. So if you've got one of these and yours is working out great, that's awesome. If you've had trouble out of them, sound off in the comments below. I don't know, you know, this was one sample and it didn't work out. But that's all I've got, and I'll talk at y'all again soon.